It's been a while since I've covered a weird racing car here on Triple Crown Racing. In the past when we've covered one of these, they've usually never been any good. Quite often they're ambitious, but have never quite worked in the way that their creators intended. The Delta Wing, for example, was revolutionary, but never seemed to deliver any results. And the APR Toyota Prius was radical, but like the Delta Wing, never made any real impression on the results sheets. However, back in 1962, some very smart Italians made an innovative race car that actually achieved what they set out to do. Our story begins in 1961, with troubles at Scuderia Ferrari, a sadly regular occurrence even today. A dispute rose between Enzo Ferrari's wife and a number of key employees within the team, most notably two engineers by the name of Carlo Chitti and Giotto Bizzarini. As a result, these two engineers founded their own car company and race team by the name of ATS. Italian Count Giovanni Volpi, who ran the Formula 1 and sports car team Scuderia Serenissima, funded ATS and took Bizzarini and Chitti under his wing. Enzo Ferrari, however, was not best pleased that Volpi was poaching his employees, and subsequently cancelled Serenissima's orders for two of the brand new Ferrari 250 GTOs. As a result, Scuderia Serenissima was left without two shiny new race cars and instead with a slightly outdated 250 GT SWB. So Scuderia Serenissima had talented engineers with a grudge against Ferrari, but a race car that wouldn't have been competitive had they raced it as it was. Thankfully, however, one of the last projects that Bizzarini and Chitti worked on at their time with Ferrari was the 250 GTO, and if they could make a great race car once, they could certainly do it again. The 250 SWB's body was ditched in favour of one that resembled the front end of the GTO with a very unique back end for superior aerodynamics. The Tipo 168 engine was moved further back towards the centre of the car, lowered and given more power. Other mechanical modifications were made as well. The end result was very impressive and was completed in just 14 days. When it was revealed to the world, it quickly earned the nickname among the French press La Camionnette, or Little Truck, but it was the name drummed up by the British press that stuck. The Breadvan. The car in its Breadvan guise made its debut at the 1962 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the car would be driven by Carlo Maria Abate and Colin Davis. And it seemed that this strange looking car that had been built in a couple of weeks was by some miracle competitive. The car was on pace with the GTOs exactly as intended, running 7th overall for a considerable period of time during the race. It was actually 7 km an hour faster down the Mulsanne than the GTOs. Unfortunately, however, the car broke down in the third out of the race due to a broken prop shaft. It's a shame too. 2 of the 3 cars that eventually finished on the podium were GTOs, and bear in mind, the Breadvan was actually matching and beating them in the early part of the race. What could have been? However, the Breadvan's competitive life was far from over. It returned for the Guards Trophy at Brands Hatch. The car finished an impressive 4th overall and took the GT class victory, once again in the hands of Carlo Maria Abate and Colin Davis. The car returned again a few weeks later, this time at the Olin Villas hill climb in the hands of Abate, and it placed 4th overall and took another class victory. 2 months later, the car made its second appearance in the 1962 World Sports Car Championship at the 1000 km de Paris, this time in the hands of Colin Davis and Ludovico Scarfiotti. The car went on to claim 3rd place. So far, the car had sort of achieved everything it was originally intended to do. However, it seemed that the car's competitive life was coming to an end. Juan Manuel Bordeo was set to drive the car at the 1962 Puerto Rican Grand Prix, but it was withdrawn in the wake of the death of Ricardo Rodriguez at the Mexican Grand Prix that same year. After this, Count Volpi used the Breadvan as a road car, even allowing Fiat boss Gianni Agnelli to borrow the car one night in Monte Carlo, who had his butler paint it black as a joke, as he believed it looked like a hearse. Well, mostly black, as apparently he ran out of paint 3/4 of the way through. Volpe then lent the car to a German filmmaker by the name of Günther Sachs, who managed to get himself into a high-speed chase with the French police while using the car and got himself arrested, leading to the Breadvan being impounded. This was all in a car that had been racing at Le Mans a matter of months prior. And you guys wanted a video on the Brabham fan car. This is way more interesting! Volpe eventually sold the car, and nearly 3 years later it was driven by Edgardo Mungo at the Coppa Galenga hill climb, where it placed 9th in a new silver coat of paint, marking its last competitive event in period. By then, Scuderia Serenissima had already been disbanded, and after its final event in 1965, the car was passed around from owner to owner, was repainted red in 1966, before eventually landing into the hands of an American owner in 1986, who actually took it to the 250 GTO 25th anniversary event the following year, which, as you could imagine, went down really well considering the sole reason for the car's existence was to beat the GTO. Luckily, however, the car was eventually transformed back into proper race car form and has since made frequent appearances at a number of historical events such as the Goodwood Revival and the Le Mans Classic. In 2015, it was actually crashed at the Goodwood Revival. Now, I won't name and shame the driver who was behind the wheel, because at the time, the car was valued at $23 million. However, it has continued to race since, and that little mishap has not negatively affected the value of the car one bit, because as of 2021, it is estimated to be valued around $30 million. But that is the story of yet another weird racing car. Born out of dispute and defiance, it has since become an absolute classic and has genuinely stuck it to the big man himself. In my opinion, it is certainly worthy of being the star of my 200th video. I also want to thank everyone for a brilliant 3 years of Triple Crown racing. What a journey it's been so far, and I'm sure I have plenty more excellent videos in the tank. What did you think of today's video? What other weird racing cars would you like to see me cover? Comment below. I do actually read them all, so you may as well say something and I will most likely respond to you. All the socials are in the description below, including the T-Shout, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord server, as well as my own personal Twitter. Please go check those links out if you haven't already done so. Anyway, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.